Have you ever felt it? That strange, hollow ache right in the center of your chest? After you've posted something you were proud of, you spent hours, maybe days, crafting that perfect photo, that witty caption, that announcement of your new venture. You hit share, and you wait. And the likes trickle in, the fire emojis, the congrats comments. And for a moment, you feel it. A little rush, a flicker of warmth. The world sees you, they approve. You're doing it right, but then the moment passes, the warmth fades, and the ache is still there. Deeper this time. You find yourself refreshing the page again and again, measuring your worth in notifications, comparing your little trickle of validation to the tidal wave of applause someone else seems to be getting. And you ask yourself a question so terrifying you barely let it surface into a whisper. If nobody saw it, did it even happen? We are living in a world that is screaming at us, begging us to perform, to document, to prove our existence every single second of every single day. We are told that the path to success is paved with visibility, that you have to hustle in public, that you have to build a personal brand, that you have to show everyone how hard you're working, how much you're growing, how perfect your life is becoming. We are sold a lie, a beautiful, glittering, intoxicating lie, the lie that progress is loud, the lie that achievement needs an audience. And we've bought into it so completely that we've forgotten the most fundamental truth of growth, of creation, of transformation. We've forgotten that the strongest trees grow the deepest roots in silence. We've forgotten that the most profound breakthroughs happen not on a stage, but in the quiet, unseen, unglamorous solitude of your own mind. We are a generation of people curating a museum of our own lives, while the actual mansion of our soul falls into disrepair. We post the picture of the book, but we don't do the reading. We share the quote about mindfulness, but we can't sit with our own thoughts for 2 minutes without reaching for a distraction. We announce the goal, we celebrate the intention, but we abandon the process the moment it gets hard, the moment it gets messy, the moment no one is watching. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? Because we are human. Because deep down we are wired for connection, for belonging, for acceptance. We are the descendants of tribes where being seen, being valued, meant survival. But that ancient wiring is being hijacked. It's being exploited by algorithms designed to keep us scrolling, comparing, and craving. Our innate need for recognition has been turned into a weapon against our own peace. We're so busy auditioning for a role in someone else's world that we've forgotten how to be the main character in our own. This isn't about judging social media. This isn't about deleting your apps and moving to a cabin in the wood, unless that's truly what your soul is calling for. This is about something far more important. This is about reclaiming your focus. This is about protecting your energy. This is about understanding the profound, life-altering, world-changing power of quiet cultivation. What if I told you that the moments you feel most invisible are the moments you are actually growing the most? What if the periods of your life that feel the most stagnant, the most boring, the most unpostable are the fertile ground where your future masterpiece is taking root? Think about the last time you had a truly original idea, a real aha moment that sent electricity through your veins. Did it happen while you were scrolling through your feed, while you were crafting a clever tweet? Or did it happen in the shower, on a long, quiet walk with no destination? Did it wake you up from a dream at 3 a.m.? The truth is, creativity doesn't shout. It whispers. Innovation isn't born in the noise of the crowd. It's conceived in the sacred silence of a mind at rest. There's a story about the legendary composer Beethoven. As he grew older, he began to lose his hearing. The world of sound, the very medium of his genius, was fading into silence. For a musician, this should have been a death sentence. He could have paraded his tragedy, sought pity, lived off the glory of his past. He could have shown the world his struggle. Instead, he retreated. He withdrew from public life, from the concert halls, from the endless chatter. And in that forced, profound silence, he composed his most iconic, most revolutionary, most transcendent work, his Ninth Symphony. He couldn't hear the orchestra. He couldn't hear the applause. He could only hear the music that was thundering inside his own soul. He had to trust the unseen. He had to cultivate his craft in the absolute terrifying quiet, and what emerged was not just music. It was a testament to the human spirit that has echoed for centuries. That is the power of unplugging. That is the magic of quiet cultivation. It's not empty. It's not passive. It is a deliberate, courageous act of turning away from the distracting glare of the world stage to tend to the gentle light within. It's in these moments These quiet, unglamorous, unseen moments that you can finally hear yourself think. You can untangle the knots of anxiety. You can separate your own true desires from the desires that have been projected onto you by society, by your family, by the endless scroll. You can find your own signal amidst the noise. But we are terrified of this silence, aren't we? The moment we are alone, the moment there is no external input. What do? We reach for the phone. We turn on the TV. We put in the earbuds. We do anything to avoid being alone with the one person who holds all the answers we're looking for, ourselves. The constant performance, the endless showing. It's not just a habit, it's an addiction. And it comes with hidden costs that are far greater than we can imagine. Living for external applause is a guaranteed path to burnout. It's a hamster wheel powered by anxiety. Each time you get a little hit of validation, the wheel speeds up, the expectations get higher. You have to post something better, more impressive, more successful than the last time. You become a content creator for a life you're not even fully living. You start making choices, not based on your internal compass, your authentic values, your true joy, but based on what will get the most likes, what will look good to people you don't even know. You choose the career path that sounds impressive, even if it crushes your spirit. You stay in the relationship that looks perfect on Instagram, even if it's empty behind the scenes. You buy the things you think will signal success, even if it puts you in crippling debt. Your authentic self, that quiet, true voice inside, gets buried deeper and deeper under the weight of the persona you're trying to maintain. And that, my friends, is the ultimate illusion of progress. You can have all the external markers of success, the followers, the job title, the perfect family photo, and feel completely, utterly, and devastatingly empty inside. Because you've been tending to the leaves while letting the roots wither and die. You've been polishing the outside of the lamp while the light inside has gone out. So how do we break free? How do we stop the performance and start the practice? How do we begin the real work, the quiet work of cultivating our inner garden? It doesn't start with a grand gesture. It starts with a small, defiant act of silence. It starts with 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes a day where you intentionally put your phone in another room, turn off all the screens, and just sit. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to chant or find enlightenment. You just have to be. Be with your own breath. Be with the feeling of the chair beneath you. Be with the sounds you can hear outside your window. At first, it will feel excruciating. Your mind will race. The urge to grab your phone will feel like a physical craving. Your brain, so accustomed to the constant dopamine drip of new information, will rebel. It will tell you you're being lazy. It will tell you you're missing out. It will tell you this is a waste of time. Your job is to simply sit through the discomfort, to watch those thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky without judgment and without attachment. This small practice is not about adding another task to your to-do list. It's about creating a space, a sanctuary, a quiet corner of your day where your soul can finally exhale. And in that space, you begin to practice the art of mindful detachment from public perception. You start to untangle your self-worth from your net worth or your social worth. You begin to ask yourself the right questions. Not what will they think, but how does this feel to me? Not what will this look like, but is this aligned with who I truly want to be? You begin to redefine success on your own terms. Maybe success isn't a promotion. Maybe it's having the energy to play with your kids after work. Maybe success isn't a viral post. Maybe it's writing one honest paragraph in a private journal that no one will ever see. Maybe success isn't about being seen by millions, but about being seen truly and deeply by one or two people who you love. You have to become a fierce protector of your own focus, a guardian of your own peace. This means learning to say no. No to the constant invitations for distraction. No to the pressure to share every thought and every moment. No to the belief that your journey is only valid if it's validated by others. You start to move through the world with a quiet confidence, a groundedness that doesn't need to announce itself. You become more interested in being interested than in being interesting. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you perform. And a funny thing happens when you commit to this path. When you stop chasing the butterflies of external validation and you start nurturing the garden within, the butterflies come and land on your shoulder. The internal growth, the unseen harvest, begins to manifest in the external world in ways that are more powerful and more permanent than anything you could have ever forced. The work you create in silence, fueled by pure passion and not by a need for applause, resonates with a depth and authenticity that people can feel. It has a soul. It connects. The confidence you build in private by keeping the promises you make to yourself radiates from you in a way that is far more magnetic than any manufactured bravado. People will trust you more, respect you more, because they can sense that your foundation is solid. You're not a house of cards, you're a mountain. The relationships you cultivate when you're not trying to perform, when you're just present and authentic, become deeper and more meaningful. The solutions to the problems that have been plaguing you will appear, seemingly out of nowhere, because you've finally given your subconscious mind the quiet space it needs to work its magic. This is the great paradox. The more you let go of the need to be seen, the more the right people and the right opportunities will see you. The less you shout about your progress, the more your results will speak for themselves. You will stop chasing success and you will start attracting it, because you will have become the kind of person who is worthy of it, not because of what you show, but because of who you have become. In the quiet, in the silence, in the sacred unseen moments when it was just you doing the work. So this is your invitation, your permission slip to step off the stage, to close the curtain for a little while, to turn down the volume of the world so you can finally hear the music of your own soul. Your real journey, your most important work, is not out there in the noise. It's in here, in the quiet.
Let's be honest, though, this path is not easy. Choosing silence in a world of noise feels like swimming against a tidal wave. The moment you decide to go quiet, to work in private, a new kind of fear creeps in. The fear of being forgotten, the fear of becoming irrelevant. You'll see others posting their wins, their hustle, their perfectly curated progress. And that old voice will whisper in your ear, you're falling behind. They're all moving forward, and you're standing still. No one will remember you. That voice is the siren song of the superficial. It promises glory, but leads you to the rocks of burnout and regret. You must learn to see it for what it is, an echo of a system that profits from your insecurity. The truth is, you are not standing still. You are gathering strength. You are building what I call invisible momentum. Think of a bamboo tree. For the first 4 to 5 years, you see almost nothing on the surface. You water it, you tend to the soil, and all you see is a tiny, insignificant sprout. It looks like nothing is happening. It looks like a failure. Anyone walking by would say, "Why are you wasting your time with that patch of dirt?" But what they can't see is the massive, intricate, powerful root system that is growing deep beneath the ground. It is building a foundation. And then, in its 5th year, when the foundation is ready, the bamboo tree explodes. It can grow up to 90 feet in just 6 weeks. That is invisible momentum. That is the power of quiet cultivation. The years of unseen work were not wasted time. They were the most important time. They were everything. Are you willing to be the bamboo? Are you willing to do the work when no one is clapping? Are you willing to trust the process even when you have no external results to show for it? Are you willing to look like a fool to the outside world while you build an unshakable foundation within? This is the difference between building a career and building a legacy. A career can be built on showmanship, on trends, on being in the right place at the right time. But a legacy, a true lasting impact, is always built on substance, on depth, on mastery. And mastery is a quiet pursuit. It is forged in the 10,000 hours of practice that nobody ever sees. It's the writer who fills hundreds of private journals before they write the novel that changes the world. It's the athlete who spends years in an empty gym perfecting their form long before they ever step into the arena. It's the entrepreneur who quietly studies, tests, and fails in private for years before they launch the business that disrupts an entire industry. They weren't concerned with looking successful. They were obsessed with becoming masterful. There is a world of difference between the two. One is a performance, the other is a transformation. One is about perception, the other is about reality. One is fragile, dependent on the ever-changing opinions of the crowd. The other is anti-fragile. It is solid, grounded, and owned by you. Embracing this path requires a radical act of self-trust. You have to trust that the work you are doing in the dark will see the light. You have to trust that your internal compass knows the way, even when the map of the world tells you you're lost. You have to believe with every fiber of your being that who you are becoming in private is infinitely more important than what you are showing in public. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about the part no one ever films, the part that never makes it to the highlight reel, the messy middle, the sculptor who stands before a giant, formless block of marble. The world only sees the finished statue, the David, the Pietà, a masterpiece of grace and beauty. They see the result, they applaud the genius, but they don't see the beginning. They don't see the hundreds of hours of violent, dusty, deafening work. They don't see the sculptor covered in grit, sweating, bleeding, chipping away everything that is not the statue. For most of the process, it doesn't look like creation. It looks like destruction. It's chaotic. It's ugly. There are 1,000 failed strikes of the chisel for every one that reveals a hint of the form within. There are moments of profound doubt, where the sculptor looks at the mangled block of stone and thinks, I've ruined it. There's nothing here. I should have just left it alone. That is what true growth feels like. It is not a clean, linear ascent. It is a messy, chaotic, and often destructive process of chipping away everything you are not to reveal the masterpiece you were born to be. And you cannot do that work with an audience. Can you imagine that sculptor trying to work with 1,000 people looking over their shoulder, commenting on every strike? Oh, I don't like that chip you just made. Are you sure you should be hitting it there? My cousin sculpted a rock once, and he did it completely differently. The noise would be paralyzing. The pressure to make every move look good, to make it look like progress, would kill the entire process. The masterpiece would remain trapped in the stone forever. You have to be willing to enter your own workshop, to close the door, to get covered in the dust of your own becoming. You have to be willing to look like a failure in the middle of your process. You have to find the courage to be in that messy, uncertain space where you are no longer who you were, but you are not yet who you will be. This is the sacred wilderness of your journey. It's lonely there. It's supposed to be, because in that solitude, you are not just building a skill or a project. You are forging a relationship with the deepest part of yourself. You are learning to trust your own hands, your own eyes, your own instincts, without needing anyone else to tell you that you're doing it right. This is where you learn to fall in love with the process itself, not the idea of the result, but the raw, tangible, moment-to-moment act of doing the work. You learn to love the boredom of discipline, the repetition of practice, the quiet satisfaction of showing up for yourself day after day, especially on the days you don't feel like it, especially on the days when the stone seems to be fighting back. You stop seeing success as a destination you arrive at and announce to the world. You start to understand that success is the quality of attention you bring to the present moment. Success is the courage to make one more strike with the chisel, even when you're filled with doubt. Success is keeping the promise you made to yourself in the dark long after the initial excitement has faded. When you live this way, your entire reality shifts. You stop seeing your life in terms of what is postable. You start seeing your life as a series of sacred, private moments of becoming. A difficult conversation with a loved one isn't a drama to be vaguely referenced online. It's a private workshop for learning compassion. A failure in your business isn't a public shame to be hidden. It's a quiet classroom for resilience. The hours you spend reading, studying, and thinking aren't wasted time away from the hustle. They are the silent sharpening of your greatest tool, your mind. You begin to build a life that feels as good on the inside as it might look on the outside. You cultivate an inner world so rich, so fulfilling, so vibrant that the validation of the outer world becomes a pleasant bonus, not a desperate necessity. You become your own source of approval. You become your own anchor in the storm. And from that place of grounded, quiet strength, you will create work, build relationships, and live a life with a depth and meaning that no amount of showing off could ever replicate. So let them race ahead. Let them post their sprints. Let them chase the fleeting dopamine of momentary applause. You are not in a sprint. You are running a marathon. And your race is not against them. It is only against the person you were yesterday. Your focus is different. Your energy is different. While they are scattering their energy in 1,000 different directions, trying to please a faceless crowd, you are channeling your energy like a laser beam into the one thing that truly matters: your own growth, your own craft, your own soul. The world doesn't need another performance. It doesn't need another carefully constructed illusion. What the world is starving for, what we are all desperately craving, is authenticity, is depth, is truth. And that can only be found in the quiet places. It can only be cultivated when you have the courage to turn away from the noise and listen to the still, small voice within. That is where your genius lives. That is where your purpose is waiting. That is where your true power lies. So let's talk about that voice. That still, small voice within. In our noisy world, most of us have forgotten how to hear it. It's been drowned out by notifications, by the opinions of others, by the endless list of things we should be doing. We look for answers everywhere, in books, in podcasts, in gurus, everywhere, except the one place the real answers reside: inside. This quiet cultivation, this practice of sitting in silence, it's not just about stress relief. It's about recalibrating your receiver. It's about tuning your inner radio away from the static of the world and onto the clear, pure frequency of your own intuition. Your intuition is not some magical, mystical force. It is the collective wisdom of every experience you have ever had, processed by the powerful subconscious part of your brain. It's the gut feeling that tells you a business deal is off, even when it looks perfect on paper. It's the sudden urge to call a friend, only to find out they desperately needed to hear from you. It's the quiet knowing of your next right step, even when you can't logically explain why. But your intuition speaks in whispers. It will never shout over the noise of your phone or the anxiety in your head. It will only speak in the spaces you create for it. When you commit to quiet, you are making an appointment with your own deepest wisdom. You are saying to the universe, and more importantly, to yourself, I am ready to listen. And when you start to listen, really listen, you begin to discover your true purpose. Not the purpose you think you should have, not the one that sounds impressive at a dinner party, but the one that is uniquely, authentically yours. The one that makes your heart beat a little faster. The one that gives you a sense of meaning that no amount of external success could ever touch. This purpose is often found in the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, and what the world needs. But you can't find that intersection by looking at a map drawn by someone else. You have to draw your own. And the ink for that map is made of self-awareness. The kind of self-awareness that can only be cultivated in solitude. It's in the quiet that you notice the patterns in your life. You see the themes that have been repeating since you were a child. You remember what you used to love doing before the world told you it wasn't practical. You reconnect with the essence of who you are. This journey inward is the ultimate act of rebellion in a world that wants you to constantly look outward. It is a declaration of your own sovereignty. You are saying, my inner world is more important than the outer world's perception of me. You are taking back the power you have given away to algorithms and advertisers and the opinions of strangers. You are becoming the author of your own story, not just a character in someone else's feed. This doesn't mean you become a hermit. It means you re-enter the world differently. You engage with intention. You create from a place of fullness, not from a place of need. You share not to get something, but to give something. Your work becomes an offering, not an audition. And people can feel the difference. They are drawn to the person who is grounded in their own truth, who operates from a place of inner peace, who doesn't need anything from them. That is the ultimate charisma. That is true influence. So I ask you again, what is the masterpiece trapped inside of you? What is the music only you can hear? What is the legacy you want to build, not just the career you want to show? The world will keep getting louder. The pressure to perform will keep getting stronger. The temptations to trade your authentic self for a round of applause will be everywhere. Which is why this work, this quiet, unseen, unglamorous work, is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the only way to build a life of meaning, purpose, and unshakable peace in the chaos of the modern world. Your journey starts now, not tomorrow, not when you have more time. It starts with your very next breath. Inhale courage. Exhale the need for approval. Inhale self-trust. Exhale the fear of being forgotten. Believe in the power of your own silence. Believe in the work that no one sees, because that is where the magic is. That is where you are. Go find yourself in the quiet. But how? How, in a practical sense, do we begin to build this inner fortress of solitude when the world is constantly trying to tear it down? It begins by creating a secret garden, a place in your mind, in your schedule, in your life that is for you and you alone, a place that has no entry point for public opinion. Your secret garden doesn't have to be a physical place. It's a commitment. It's the decision to dedicate a small piece of your life to something that has absolutely no external goal. It's not a side hustle. It's not for a future resume. Its only purpose is to nourish your soul. Maybe your secret garden is learning to play the guitar, not to perform, but just to feel the vibration of the strings against your chest. Maybe it's writing poetry that you will never publish, just to give your emotions a shape. Maybe it's learning a new language, not for travel, but for the joy of rewiring your brain. Maybe it's a simple daily walk without your phone, where your only goal is to notice things you've never noticed before. The key is this. You must protect its secrecy. The moment you think, oh, this is good, I should post about this, the magic is broken. The moment you consider how to monetize it or turn it into content, the garden begins to wither, because it is no longer for you. It has become another performance. This is your sacred space, away from the tyranny of the algorithm and the judgment of the crowd. This is your sanctuary, your private laboratory for the soul, where you are free to experiment, to fail, to be a beginner, to be messy, without any fear of judgment. It is an act of pure, unconditional self-love. Think of a blacksmith, alone in their forge. The townspeople only see the final product, the strong, sharp, perfectly balanced sword. They don't see the hundreds of hours in the sweltering heat. They don't see the blacksmith taking a raw, useless piece of iron and plunging it into the fire. They don't hear the deafening clang of the hammer striking the metal again and again and again, folding it, shaping it, strengthening it. They don't see the countless times the metal is plunged back into the water, the violent hiss of steam, the painful process of tempering that gives the blade its resilience. That blacksmith is you, your soul, your character, your skills. That is the raw iron. The challenges of life, the hard work, the discipline, that is the fire. The daily practice, the consistent effort that no one sees, that is the hammer. And the moments of quiet reflection, of stepping back, of integrating what you've learned, that is the water that tempers you and makes you strong. You cannot forge a strong blade in a cold fire. You cannot do it with gentle taps. And you absolutely cannot do it with a crowd of people shouting suggestions. It requires heat, pressure, and intense solitary focus. Every time you retreat to your secret garden, you are stepping into your forge. You are picking up your hammer. You are enduring the fire. You are making yourself not for show, but for real. You are building a character that is so strong, so resilient, so authentic, that when you walk out into the world, people don't just see a polished surface. They feel the tempered steel within you. This is the ultimate long game. In a world obsessed with overnight success and viral moments, you are choosing the timeless path of the craftsman. You are choosing substance over shadow. You are building something that will last. Your peace of mind, your self-respect, your unshakable sense of who you are. These are the things that no one can ever take from you. They are not dependent on likes or followers or the approval of anyone. They are forged in your own private fire. This process of private forging changes your relationship with failure. In the public arena, failure is a spectacle. It's a source of shame, a reason for others to doubt you. But in the forge, failure is just information. It's a necessary part of the process. When the blacksmith strikes the iron and it doesn't bend the right way, they don't throw it away and declare themselves a failure. They simply adjust. They add more heat. They change the angle of the hammer. They learn from the mistake and strike again. Failure in private is not an identity. It's a step. It's a lesson. It's the sculptor realizing they need to chip away stone from the other side. It's the writer crumpling up a piece of paper and starting the sentence again. When you do this work in secret, you strip failure of its power to shame you. You reclaim it as a tool for growth. You build a resilience that is impossible to develop when your every move is being scrutinized. You learn to trust your ability to recover, to adapt, to persevere, because you have done it 1,000 times in the quiet of your own forge with no one there to judge you. You become unafraid to try big things because you know that even if you fail, the real work is in the getting back up. And that's a skill you've been mastering in private all along. This quiet work also cultivates a rare and powerful quality.